When you first moved to Los Angeles, what was your strategy for finding work in the film industry?
The first job I found was on Facebook. I think Facebook, I don't know if it's getting less so, but I think it's really great, the groups, for just getting your foot in the door, just responding. And I was lucky. That like I just had the right gear at the right moment, and they just needed somebody that day to show up for 2 weeks, and took a leap of faith and went to this house. I was like, driving into a place I've never been. I'm going to stay in this cabin with these people and hopefully I don't get murdered, and luckily it all worked out. And once you meet a couple people, usually if you do good work and you have a good ethic and you're fun to be around and people can tolerate you for 16 hours a day, you'll get hired again, but it is a lot of like personality, you can't be too needy or demanding or annoying because like you're not going to get the work. So it's just like getting the first job out of the way and then just responding. A lot of my work actually comes from film festivals. So, I bring my work to a film festival and then I meet other screenwriters and other directors, and suddenly like I'm on their mind to call because they've seen my work and they've met me. We've gotten to be friendly. We make friends on Facebook or social media, and then they're like, okay, maybe you can come shoot my movie when it's time. So like a lot just through general networking, and luckily like because I think it would have been much harder for me if I didn't have any body of work when I first arrived in LA. But because I had 3 features under my belt that I'd made on nothing with nobody in Boston, just like our friends, it showed that I had something, like to come with and be like, all right, look, this is what I can do, hire me for whatever. So I think that helped because had I tried to make those movies, not knowing how LA works, I think it would have been a lot more difficult. Now I probably could, now that I've met enough people and made enough connections and I kind of understand a little bit more how the industry works here. I've been able to make low budget movies here, but I think just like diving in, it would have been much harder not having that understanding. So I guess it's a lot of networking and talking to people and getting out there, responding to ads.
How does the industry work here versus, let's say, Boston, which is a major city?
Yeah. Well, Boston has like the big movies that come from LA and shoot there, and then just people doing it very DIY. So there's not like a lot in the middle of like the $1 million indie type stuff, or even 500,000. There's not a lot of those movies being made there that I know of. So for me, it was just like, who's my community? I was friends with burlesque dancers, poets, musicians. That's who I cast in my films, and they're great, people that were used to putting their whole heart and soul out on the stage, like, suddenly like, yeah, I want to be in your movie, or I want to help with your crafty or whatever, and so it was just like, I had that community there and it was very easy to get started, just like pulling in these people. And then here, I just think it's a little more structured, I guess, like, you need this permit or like you need this insurance and like, you have to have like a certain base level, I think, of professionalism that I maybe didn't start with, even though we did have like insurance for our first stuff. There's like a base expectation, I guess, of how it's going to run. And I know there are people that do it without that base expectation, but it gets a little sketchy. And especially now as a worker, like I don't want to be on sets where there's not like a base level of professionalism because you get abused very quickly in whatever way, time, food, money, all that stuff. So you want to see like a base level of like, okay, did they have insurance? Do they have a payroll? Whatever. I don't know. I think it's just like not having the community yet. It was more it. And now I have it a little bit more. Like I know a lot of crew I can call. We all work pretty cheap for each other, and our corporate rates are much different than our friend rates. And, so like you build up your friends. It's the same thing. It's just like it's a little bit more structured, I guess.
And this Facebook group, was this like a Mandy type thing? Or no, this was different. This was like a Facebook group that was about filmmaking.
Yeah, it has like a very generic, I don't even remember the exact group. It had a very generic name, like Film Crew Needed Los Angeles or something like that, I'm sure I'm still in the group if it still exists. But yeah, it was definitely like a very generic name. And there's like a whole bunch you can join. I'm in one for, I don't do reality television. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm in like a women in reality television group where people are very helpful with each other and with resources and ideas and things. So there are like a lot of different little groups where people are trying to find each other. Yeah, I think it's better. Like I did try Mandy and some of them were websites, but I think like for whatever reason, Facebook, you can just click on the name, see kind of what they're about, before you respond.
How about Craigslist? Because you can find some decent stuff there, right?
Do you still?
I don't know if you still, but I know that you could either find horrible things or like really like, wow, this person's actually really cool and they're legit. It's not, but knowing is the tough part, I think.
Yeah.
Being able to vouch for the person.
Back in the early 2000s, my first Craigslist ad for a bandmate was like, PJ needs the bad seeds. That was my ad. And one person responded and he was amazing. And so like, that was my one like good experience with Craigslist for a drummer. It's like this one ad I put out into the inner space of whatever, the interwebs. But I've never gone to it for crew. Since then, for like film crew, I feel like I'd be a little scared about who would show up.
Do you remember your first paid filmmaking job here in LA?
Yeah. I think I was making like $50 a day. It was out in the woods. We were all staying in this cabin. But yeah, I definitely wasn't paid minimum wage. I think I was like $500 for like the 2 weeks. And it was like, all right, I'll just go on the adventure. Definitely like if there's an adventure involved, like for me, sometimes that's more than like whatever money is involved. I'm like, all right, this sounds crazy. I might die. Let's go. But yeah, and that led into the next feature I did out here was in, oh my God, what's Roswell, New Mexico. It was like another thing like, okay, you're going to get in this car with these people and they're going to take you to another state, And so like definitely there's things that could have turned into bad experiences, I guess, like leaps of faith. But, they were fine. I wouldn't say I was treated that great on some of them or that I was paid what I should have been on any of them. But, it's all learning experiences.
So knowing that like, okay, these are the terms and this is also for the experience. It's not just like, because, as people are younger, they're like, I need to be paid. And that makes sense. People should be paid. But kind of like earning your stripes.
Yeah.
But being paid at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess, they always say that like you need to work for free or whatever. I don't think you should ever work for free. I think that's bad. And so like I always try to pay at least minimum wage for even the lowest jobs, like I think like that's the law in California and it's also the right thing to do. It's a very expensive state to live in. And I believe that our minimum wage should be higher, but in my own life, yeah, I'll work for whatever if I think it's fun. That's just how I've structured my life. But, just to get your foot in the door, like smaller productions, they don't have a lot of money. It's very expensive. Like, crew is the bulk of your cost always. So yeah, if you want to have that experience and you want to take those gigs, I think that's okay. And you'll learn a lot about what not to do usually.
Do you think that you were comfortable going on the quote unquote adventure because you toured with bands?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. You get a certain sense of self and a certain sense of being able to work with people and collaborate and get through anything. Like, I think one of the greatest things about film for me is like, if I don't like somebody in 2 weeks, I don't ever have to work with them again, And if I do like them, like I remember them and I try to like be friends and come on each other's projects, And so it's like you're collecting the good trading cards and you're like dropping the ones that are not as good. But yeah, I can get through 2 weeks with anybody pretty much, probably because of music.
Were you into were there some situations where it was like dicey where you didn't know if you had a place to stay or whatever with different band setups or, whether you're going to get paid or whether, bar owner or whatever was going to, stiff you on the money or?
Oh yeah, certainly, like money disappears in clubs. Like, certainly played gigs where like they pass the hat around and then it disappears, like where did it go? But yeah, there's always some sketchiness. Like, I think anything where it's considered fun for you, then suddenly, it doesn't matter to people if you get paid or not, So yeah, you got to watch yourself a little bit. But, I always had other side hustles. So it's like if one gig falls through, like I'm not going to be out on the street that gig, But if every gig falls through, it's going to be a problem. Yeah. But yeah, certainly, like if I trust whoever's bringing me on and they don't have a lot of information, I'll go with the flow. but if it's a stranger at this point, like, yeah, I need to know where I'm staying, give me the address, let me look it up, show me a contract, all that stuff. But I have a friend who hires me all the time. I get a location and a time. I don't get a call sheet, whatever. I'm like, okay, but we're friends. So like, I know at least like you're going to look out for me, even if the production's not, we've got each other,
How are you able to find so much work here now?
Most of my work comes from networking at this point, just from knowing people. I probably should put myself out there to blind ads a little bit more. It's just not my personality so much. But yeah, it's through referral at this point and through people I meet. I have so much work out there. I shoot a lot of short films and films for other people that then go off on the festival circuit. So my name is always like kind of circulating a little bit. But yeah, it's just mostly through friends at this point.
Do you ever worry, does it ever occur to you, like, what if the work's not there next month? Or you just kind of trust that it's going to show up?
It feels very seasonal, honestly, because like there's always the beginning of the year, I always have like nothing. January, February, like I'm like, am I ever gonna work again? And especially when I first came out to LA, like when I first hit those, I was like, oh no, like it's over. Nobody has any work. Like I gotta figure out how to put myself out there more. But my summers always get insane. From like May to September, I work a lot. And I don't know why that is, especially on the indie level. Like I think on like the more union level, when you're doing pilots, there's always pilot season. It has more of its own season. I don't know why on the indie level, summers are always really busy for me, but that's been the case every year that I like kind of make it up in that middle chunk of the year, and then it dies down around November again. But yeah, so it's just like kind of trusting the seasonal aspects of it a little bit, even though I don't understand why they happen, other than like holidays and stuff. But yeah, something always comes around eventually.
Yeah, LA does seem to kind of close down right around, I mean, I know Halloween isn't part of the holidays, but it almost seems like into the holiday season, if you want to call it October 31st or whatever, it seems like LA shuts down a little bit in some sense.
I love how spooky it gets in LA in December when everybody leaves, because so much of us are transplants here. So like everybody goes home and it's so quiet. Like Hollywood Boulevard, you could go shoot whatever you want. There's nobody there. I love that time. Like, so I almost never go home for the holidays because I just like how quiet it is here.
How much do you have to prioritize getting paid to work on other people's projects versus doing your own?
I think it just comes down to scheduling for me. Like I'll schedule my own projects if I know ahead of time I'm going to be working on somebody else's thing. I'll just schedule my own stuff for later, So a lot of freelance is just keeping your schedule in its reins, and stuff changes constantly. It drives me crazy. But yeah, I don't think it's like I need to totally choose ever. I try to make time for everything. But like my work, like for a feature or whatever, if I have 2 weeks to shoot or whatever over X period of months, like I can find those days that are always working around whatever other work I have, because I'm the one planning those. So I can decide when they are. So I don't think it's a choice so much, but yeah, there always needs to be some work coming in.
Was that part of your plan to always have some time for your own projects for the two of you? Yeah, I mean, I know that they say like, hey, if you get a job in reality TV, you might make great money, but then it may be harder to get your own stuff made because you're so bound to these schedules.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely somebody was asking me recently if I wanted to go into reality. I'm like, I don't know that I want to work every day for 6 months, because I need my downtime. And physically, like, I'm not the youngest anymore. Like, there's definitely a reason why, a lot of backbreaking work happens in your 20s. I'm getting a little bit older and I don't want to be that, like, damaging to my back and stuff, like, carrying camera every day for months and months and months. Like I can do it for 2 weeks, fine. You do it for a month, fine. But like when there's no end in sight and no break in sight, I don't know if that's for me. That's why I like features where it's like, you got a month, you got 2 months, you take a break, So yeah, I think it is always important for me to have my own thing going, because I need to have control over something in my life. So I need to be the one, like, if something's not right, it's my fault, and that's fine, and I can accept that. But at least like I am the person trying the hardest, and then like, you can go off and work on whatever. But, I always need something that's mine, that's cooking, brewing.
Yeah, because some people make that decision early in life, or then sometimes maybe if after they have a successful corporate career, you know what, I need time to do creative stuff, and that's the most important thing over making money. And I get it, when you have kids, you can't make that decision, but yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe being available to have projects or being able to do whatever you want was more of a decision maker in what jobs you take.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, like for me, it's all about, you know, like that's why I like being a director of photography because it is creative, you know, and I do have a lot of say in the project as a whole. But other jobs and stuff, that's just filling in my schedule. And I do it because I've learned the skills. You know, these are the skills I have now, so I might as well let them make me a little bit money on the side, you know. But yeah, it's always about my own stuff. That's like what's the goal is, I guess, you know, is to be doing my stuff on a bigger and bigger level, my own projects. And everything else is feeding into that machine for me career wise, you know. But yeah, that's certainly the most important thing always is the art and what I'm doing. But I have a lot of fun, you know, like I like being an AC, like I said, like I have a lot of fun doing it. If the set's good and the people are fun, you know, and you're doing good work, that's good enough for me for that period of time. You know, I can put the other stuff aside for a month or 2 months or whatever. But yeah, there always needs to be something that I'm working on in the back burner.